Thank you for joining Eureka Springs Channel. I'm Melody Purdy, your host, and we're coming to you from beautiful Ozarks here in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. And this morning I'm at a particular location at Holiday Island, Arkansas, with Mr. Steve Gassaway and his staff who's surrounding us here at Mountain Bird Coffee, which coffee and tea.
We go by all kinds of names.
So we're here for a special occasion this morning where, explain to me what we have in front of us here, Steve.
We're actually going to do, every Monday morning, we do a cupping, and it's called a rose profile cupping. And what we essentially are doing is trying to find out, you and I talked earlier, coffee being a food product and cellulose deteriorates over time. Once it's harvested, like anything else, it loses character. So throughout the year, we try to do our rose profiles and see if the current temperature range that we're using still has all the nuances that we actually advertise that they should have on our bag, one of our bags here.
Love it.
And sometimes we find that we need to change them, but most often not, because we go through it so fast that we don't lose all of that character over a long period of time.
So instead of tasting several different coffee beans, we're looking at just one bean.
We're looking at
one bean here.
We're looking at a blend. There's
Okay.
a blend of coffees here, and Bailey's going to talk about some of this in a minute. But
Okay.
it's a blend of coffees. We have single origins, but sometimes those are blends. They might not be one varietal, but they're from one farm. This is from several different farms. There's gosh, I'd have to look at the bag, but Brazil, Costa Rica. Go ahead, man.
Brazil, Costa Rica, Peru, and El Salvador.
There
Okay.
you go. So we, those are just farms and that's changed over time since the beginning. But now it's one of those things that we found that has all the dynamics that we look for in Stevie's Espresso, which is one of our top-selling coffees.
Okay. So the prerequisite to come in this morning, do I need to come in and had no sleep last night so that I can get the full effects of the coffee? Do you find that sleep deprivation helps in the tasting of these coffees?
It's funny because a lot of times you can spit it out. we have spittoons that you can spit it out.
Okay.
But a roast profile is different than a green bean coffee profile or cupping. So this is all drinkable coffee, everything we've got here. So all of us drink it down, but we're going to slurp it. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to let that spray hit our mouths, and we're going to see where the zones it hits, because the mouth does not taste anything but salt and sweet and sour and bitter and umami, which is the five senses that you're going to have there. The rest of it is that when we start talking, it's going to be kind of weird. Jeremy's learning about this, is that we're going to talk about nuances that we smell.
Oh.
So you might say something sweet, or it might be nutty. Well, your tongue's not telling you it's nutty. Your nose is telling you that it's nutty.
I see.
So when we talk about these things, and it can get pretty, a lot of character can be in. I mean, we might say it tastes like grapefruit, or might taste like a raspberry, and people will look at us and go, I didn't taste that. but this is not exactly. So if we say chocolate, we're not talking about sugar. We're talking about a chocolate. Even when we say milk chocolate, there's a character about milk chocolate that has the milk, but no sugar there. The sweetness that you taste, and we're going to say sweet. We've actually had people go, oh gosh, there's nothing sweet about that. Well, yes, it hit the tongue and brightened up the front of your tongue. That was real sweet if it does that.
Okay. And so the variation from these trays is a time-oriented.
A degree oriented.
Okay.
So
A degree.
currently, Stevie's Espresso, our company looks at this a little differently. A lot of companies roast by using a dryer and evaluating color as they're roasting. I set up all the recipes under a degree. And
Okay.
I did the same thing initially when I developed the recipes, but it finally came down. So Stevie's Espressos at 420 degrees is when we sell that and it goes out. That's where this stopped in the process.
Okay.
We go backwards 5 degrees each way.
Okay.
Because we found out that variance gives us a lot of information. For instance, we might get 420 go today. Excuse me, 420. Well, that's good, but 415, that was awesome. And we might want to change it to 415, or we might go. Excuse me. Well, 415 was good and 420 is good, but somewhere in between. So we might change it there.
Okay. So is it a consensus of voting here for what everybody is drawn to?
We all come to a conclusion.
Okay, all right.
You know,
seems like a pretty agreeable group to be able to do that. So good deal.
My nose is not what it was when I first started this business. I could tell.
Does that have to do with your age?
It has a lot to do with age. Exactly right. So these young folks here, they play an important part to help me in guiding us, because like I said, we all come to the same conclusion at the end of the day.
Yeah.
By the way, remind me we've got to change one from last week to get that done before we roast them. So if we all come in agreement, which seems to happen every time, but where we're roasting at that point usually stays where it is.
Sure.
Just for that year.
So for the cuppings, are you relying strictly on the opinions within house, or cuppings you're inviting people to come in, correct?
It can be.
Okay. Potential people
that can come in and cup with us, and
Okay.
once again, our noses are very distinctive to what we're putting in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. So we know what, not just because we enjoy it, we just kind of know our customer base, we know what they like, but what we really know is what the character of that coffee is. And you're going to hear us talk about that because we might think that, all of us might think that last one down there is really good, and then the next one, ooh, but we'll talk about why that's really good, or why somebody got excited about it, and we'll go through all those things.
Okay.
But most people come in when we start talking about the nuances, the creaminess or the nuttiness or the floral or the citrus or whatever. People look at us like, what in the heck are you talking about? Okay. And we send them up here. This is actually a wheel, a flavor wheel.
Oh, yeah.
That we start talking about these things, they can go and go, oh, let me go up there and see what he's talking about.
There. Okay.
We do experiment. We have other coffees that we put in the marketplace they're all specialty coffees. Everything we do is high quality, high end coffees, and we source it that way. But we don't change our brand now.
So I heard Costa Rica, Guatemala, Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
What other? Where else? Peru. Okay.
Nicaragua.
Okay.
Guatemala.
Okay.
Ethiopia, El Salvador.
Okay. So research and development must be just awful.
It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it, you know.
So do you travel every year to other countries and
do.
Try to keep a hands-on with everything?
I do. We have a team of us that work through a large broker.
Okay.
And this large broker sells to a lot of different people, but this team we all have the same, very similar things that we like. Okay. So, for instance, if I'm not able to make it to El Salvador and we need an El Salvador coffee, we actually have somebody in the team that understands that coffee process, and they might pick 2 or 3 coffees, and we'll cup them at some point, and we'll make a decision.
Well, with COVID-19 being a part of all of our world right now, and having all of last year, I bet you felt at a loss at some point.
Melody, I'm at a loss right now. Number one, I didn't get to take a vacation this year.
Number one.
So secondly,
research and development was non-existent last year.
We can't. They closed the farms down in last year, so you can't travel to coffee farms. They do not want their labor is already tough in these countries, and then if they got COVID on their farms, it would absolutely devastate them.
Sure.
So they don't allow you in. So the production meals. They don't allow you in there. So yes, can you travel to Costa Rica today? Yes. Can I go to those coffee farms that I usually buy from or want to buy from? No.
No.
And it doesn't look like probably the first trip I'll take will be in December to Colombia, and that'll be the first opening that we can get down to.
Congratulations on that. We're headed in the right direction.
I can't wait.
It's so good.
This space that we're in now, the older building, would last us 5 years. We outgrew it within 3. So now we bring those goods, which is over in that other warehouse, is a separate inventory item compared to here. So we go from raw goods, what we call raw finished goods, and they come in here, and this is all in our production. So those coffees over there get stacked in here, pulled out into a, we have this kind of crazy rhyme and reason. I don't know if you've ever seen what coffee looks like. That's what coffee looks like to us when we get it. It's just a seed. Mm-hmm. And we weigh it up in here, and we actually, while the machine is running and getting ready, we before we start roasting, we suck it from here, and we do 20 and 40 pound loads. We bring it over this way, and then when we have I built all the recipes in this machine. This is all built to our specifications. It's all very high tech. So whenever the beans come over into here, and the recipe has been chosen, when it hits a certain temperature, we release this. It falls through this chute here into the roaster, and the machine starts cooking. And within generally 15 to 18 minutes, we have a load of coffee coming out of here.
That quick? That's surprising. I wouldn't have thought it'd been that quick.
No, 15 days.
I was thinking at least an hour or two, but that's
3 loads an hour.
That's quick.
So we have to have. That's why we have to have a lot of coffee. I mean, we're producing here. So once it gets here and is dumped in here, it comes over here, Melody, to our packaging room, and it's dumped into this tray here. It goes into a weigh fill machine, which is highly accurate about weight. And so we do our coffees and teas through there. And what happens is that if we're just doing 12 ounce, then he's got the machine set up to just weigh 12 ounce bags, and does not include the weight of the bag, just in raw coffee. And I developed a nitrogen injection system. So we now inject nitrogen into all of our bags, and then once it's done, we drop the coffee in. It's taken down this line right here and sealed by heat. And then once that's done, we move it down into our finished goods room where we can pull between there and our teas and syrups, package them up, and get them ready to go to customers.
So what's the use of the nitrogen? Tell me about that.
So Whole Foods back in, I guess in the 2007, 6, before I ever got in this business, they own a company called Allegro. Allegro is out of Colorado. Allegro was getting scientific, and they said to be able to have a shelf life, because Whole Foods is the worst about moving their stuff around. To have a shelf life, you've got to eliminate oxygen in the bag. So a coffee, when it's produced and it comes off of there, it needs to be number one, it needs to be in a bag within 2 hours. Mm-hmm. And secondly, it has to degas. So you can do one of two things. If you're not going to, you can degas by putting it in containers, and after 24, 48 hours, you can scoop it up and put it in a bag, and you'll be okay without this little one-way valve. Which is right there.
Oh, okay.
So So we bag it up, and the nitrogen is heavier than air and sits in there. So what that does, and I'm going to get back to the Allegro test, is that once this is bagged and sealed, this starts filtrating back up, and any oxygen and gases that are developed by the degassing carbon dioxide escape. So what it does is it gives you a pretty much oxygen-free environment.
Neat.
So Allegro says that if you don't expel the oxygen out of your bag and degas it, that technically within 9 days they can pull it off the shelf and throw it away.
Wow.
With nitrogen, you've got 5 months.
Wow.
And it's just as tasty in 5 months with nitrogen as it is the day you put it in that bag.
That's incredible.
Except once you open it in 5 months,
Yeah,
it like any other food, it spoils.
well, coffee doesn't last that long at my house anyway, so there you go.
And we don't want it on our shelf for 5 months.
Exactly.